Hi everybody, I'm Anna and I'm really glad to be joining you hopefully at the time of the conference from the Northern Hemisphere, not the gloomy cold Makanda where I recorded this from. So my presentation today really is a personal reflection on some of the community university partnerships and the benefits and lessons we've learned from programs and interventions that we run out of the community engagement division at Rhodes University. So the one that I'll be sharing with you is Budding Q, which is where I'm doing my master's at Stellenbosch on. Another one will be on a parent engagement program called the Nsomi Reading Project, and underpinning both of those, I'll share some of our COVID-19 adaptations that we made during the lockdowns last year. So I really want to focus a little bit around the role of higher education in today's society and really focusing on a developmental perspective. And from that perspective, then moving towards thinking about crisis and challenges as an opportunity. And within that, I'll share a little bit how we think about that strategically at Rhodes University through some of these interventions that I mentioned. And throughout my presentation, I'll be sharing these interventions through the reflections of some of our stakeholders. So I'm going to bring in little bits of video and different voices throughout my presentation. And the first voice I'd like to bring in is our director, Di Hornby. She speaks in this video clip a little bit around the role community engagement plays in higher education. And for us, that's really an infusion model, where community engagement is essentially the mortar between the bricks of teaching and learning and research, rather than a separate pillar and an activity in itself. So I hope that this resonates with you.
My name is Diana Hornby and I'm the Director of Community Engagement at Rhodes, and you will find us at 5 Prince Alfred Street. The purpose of this talk is to introduce you to community engagement and share with you some opportunities that you might like to take up. So let's start by saying that universities exist for the public good. And by that I mean universities have a social responsibility to society. They cannot live in isolation of their communities. And they are expected to contribute to the social and the economic development. They're also expected to produce students that are not only just ready for the labor market, but that are socially responsible, critical thinkers, knowledgeable, and ready to go and be those kind of change agents that we need in the shaping and the remaking of our new society. Now, traditionally, you will have heard the term ivory towers, and that's the term used for universities because of the way they existed in the past, and that has all changed, which I'm really pleased to tell you about. And universities across the country are working really hard to become engaged universities that are much more responsive to the community. So we're working to rebuild that relationship with our community, and we look to build community university partnerships that are mutually beneficial, that are good for the community partner and that are good for the university. So universities have got 3 key functions. Traditionally, you'll know they've always been teaching and learning and research. And since 1997, a white paper that was produced, government mandated universities to include community engagement. Now, you must never think of community engagement in isolation of the 2 other key missions, because it's about enhancing the academic project, and it's about using the academic project to bring about change and transformation and building our democracy.
So for us at Rhodes, community engagement really is part of the learning experience for our community partners and for our students. And so we've had to do some really strategic thinking about how we build this into the learning experiences, because traditionally education system prepares children for certainty. You prepare a grade R child for primary school, a primary school child for high school, etc., etc. But that's not the reality of our world. The reality of our world is that we live in a VUCA world. And that acronym stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And those might sound like really scary words to describe the world we live in, but that is the reality. And it's when we start to see that the changing, adaptable, flexible, clear world, that's where the opportunity comes from the crisis and challenge. And so what you see here in this diagram is an amalgamation of the National Development Plan, our Institutional Transformational Plan, and the Sustainable Development Goals, really trying to identify points of collaboration that are already existing in our city and addressing the challenges that are still there. And so this is what we've been working with as a city. So I'm just going to hone in a little bit around the education sector and how this has been used, and how partnerships have developed to kind of turn around the education system, education sector in our city. So we have around 78 ECD centres at our last count, so that we estimate is around 2,300 children. Of that, only 1,200 enter grade 1 in our non-fee paying schools. Of that cohort, 450 make it to matric, 250 pass matric, and only 5% really get a pass that allows them access into tertiary institutions. Similarly, like the national results, about 80% of our children can't read at the latest count. And in 2015, we were the worst performing city in our district. So that gives you a picture of the challenge and crisis that we face in Makhanda. And really strategically, our Vice-Chancellor, when he got inaugurated in 2015, positioned our university, not that it's just in Grahamstown or Makhanda, but it's also of and for. And this really inspired a number of organisations in the city to group together and form what's known now as the Vice-Chancellor's Initiative, which is really an initiative to revive public schooling in our city. And I'm not sure if you can see the screen clearly, but it really is a pathway from early childhood to primary school, high school, and then into post-school opportunities. And underlying that is interventions for school leadership and parent engagement. And we've seen a lot of success around this. At the top end, just some results. In 2011, we had only 9 local entrants accessing Rhodes University. That's from public and private schools. In 2021, so this year, we had over 120. That's based on children accessing the intervention and assistance that they need to really benefit from their schooling. At the first year of our intervention, there were 35 bachelor passes at the end of the year. And at our recent count, there are over 92 in this last cohort. So there's about a 65% increase in bachelor passes year on year. We've had township schools surpass the pass rates of our ex-Model C schools. In this last year, all of our partner non-fee paying schools got almost 80% pass rates, if not 80% or more. And in this last year, we were the best performing city in the district. So a really great turnaround. And this is based on partnerships between the university and communities, organizations. So the one program that really focuses on the early childhood area, which is actually where I'm going to focus now, around literacy. And literacy has become the focus of our early childhood, obviously, because as we all understand, it's the foundation to being able to access the rest of your schooling. So this is a parent engagement program called the Nsomi Reading Program, and it works with Rhodes staff who are in grade 1 to 5, so staff that are, for example, grounds and gardens or catering, that band of staff. And it helps parents empower themselves in 3 prongs. So the first prong is resources. So we have lovely book bags that our library manages, and in those book bags is a mixture of home language and English books, literacy games, and now we've added the WordWorks time resources. We also have workshops for the parents, and the topic of those workshops is determined by the parents. So the range of topics really varies, anything from conflict resolution to simple things like how to read with your child or understanding the importance of home literacy. And then most recently, we've added a remedial intervention. So obviously, after a quick assessment after the pandemic and school closures, we noticed a huge learning lag in literacy acquisition, which was probably there before, but exacerbated by the school closures. And so we now have a micro school that runs from our office. So the second voice that I'd like to bring in here is, and I'm hoping this video works, is one of our parents and her child. And this is a reflection video from one of our volunteers.
Here's our little story for today. Okay, you can tell.
After a fun day at school, I feel tired. I can't wait to go home. My favorite part of a day is when all my friends come to my house and we read stories with my mom. My mom is a manager of a dining hall at Rhodes University. She loves her job and doesn't mind working hard all day for her family.
Okay. When Intomi has been introduced to us, I see that in maybe 10 years to come, we will see a brighter future in Grahamstown. Where I'm staying, I take the books with me. And then there are children who are staying in the same street. Whenever I have time, I go and we read together. All the parents who are surrounded by Grahamstown should be involved in the education of their children.
My mom always makes time to read with me, even if it's just a little bit.
Ek was onbewus van die feit geweest dat Lucarie in so 'n projek begin het. So eers met die wat haar ma my kom sien het oor haar huiswerk en het haar ma vir my ingelig dat sy deel is van hierdie projek. En toe het Lucarie actually vir my so speletjies en goed gebring wat julle met haar doen. En toe het ek meer daarvan uitgevind. Maar voordat het ek maar half net gedink ek ma help haar meer met die lees en dit is hoekom dit verbeter het. Soos met Luke, sy wil graag eendag 'n oogarts word. Nou, jy moet baie slim wees om dit te kan wees eendag. So, vir haar, byvoorbeeld vir Luke, nou, waar sy nou dit wil doen as 'n beroep eendag. Jy moet kan lees, en lees is so belangrik in alles wat jy doen. Soos ek net nou gesê dat as jy nie kan lees nie, dan gaan jy nie actually kan goed verstaan nie. Jy gaan nie 'n boodskap kan oordra op papier nie. Dit is so belangrik dat kinders lees.
My reading is getting better. It's helping me reach my goal of become a doctor for the eyes. And that is the end of a story.
So I think you can see there how much impact it plays on the lives of these families. The next program is what I'm doing my master's on and looking at the effectiveness of it. It was developed by locals, a local teacher, myself, and an OT therapist. And really, the teachers that are involved now have a really critical role to play in forming what the contents of the skills that children are developing. I'm not going to tell you too much about the program because this video is generated to be able to explain what the program is all about and the research behind it. The aim of Budding Q is to promote critical and active citizenship of students and community partners by engaging and introducing them to community engagement activities. We also aim to support our communities in offering good quality, holistic school readiness programs in order to improve early childhood literacy development. Research has shown that there is a correlation between movement and a child's literacy development. Many of the children entering the school system struggle to meet the demands of schooling. They are not school ready. This has a knock-on effect for further schooling and life chances. It is through developing emergent literacy skills that we hope to address the challenge of schooling and learning in our city. The name Budding Q speaks to the growth of a child's EQ and IQ. This is done by preparing the brain for formal literacy through motor development skills such as crossing the midline, eye tracking, or manipulation of objects such as a pen or a book. Currently, we're engaged with several local grade R classes across Makanda. Volunteers work with teachers and children weekly to present the structured, play-based motor development intervention. And part of our program, we work with community engagement students, community psychology students, who are doing their honours in the psychology department, and they really form the management team of the program in terms of assessment and monitoring and evaluation of the program. So this video is a reflection of one of the students who were doing their community psychology honours, and really a deep reflection on the partnerships and how her perspective and paradigm changed about the role of partnerships playing in these programs and the lessons she learned from that. So this is a digital story, which is a really great methodology for research, but also monitoring and evaluation. And finally, our COVID reactions. So our COVID reactions, we created an emergency response to schools who weren't able to prepare to send home stuff, and it really was to mobilize and empower parents to take on that homeschooling role. And so we drew from many different organizations who at the time were offering really great South African resources that many of us know about, Book Dash, Nali Bali, Woodworks, and shared those on a WhatsApp group quite broadly. At the height of the group, we had 2,500 users interacting on a daily basis and distributing further than that. So we are looking into this as a research project in terms of understanding what really happened and the successes and lessons from that experience. So watch this space for that. And then just to end off, my take-home messages, the overarching umbrella message I think for me is that partnership accelerates community development. Development is already happening in our communities. We have such resilient communities, and the responsibility of universities is really to enhance and accelerate those capabilities through platforms like I've just mentioned. So it might just be a nudge or a resource that a teacher or parent or student needs to be able to continue the development that they have, the ideas that they have. The next is the role of social capital and how powerful that is. For us, our bigger social capital is obviously our students. As a university, We have half of our students involved in some sort of volunteerism on a weekly basis, which is an incredible asset for our city. But also recognizing from an asset-based approach, and I know one of my colleagues will be speaking about this later, that everyone has something to offer, and we should be working towards empowerment rather than taking a deficit point of view where we look at what communities don't have. We need to work towards that social change from a perspective of what we do have and what we can make better. And the last takeaway point for me in my own reflection is that challenge and crisis are an important framework for change, and change can be seen through lenses and frameworks like the Sustainable Development Goals, which we definitely should be working more collaboratively towards achieving if we're wanting to reach those milestones. But change requires significant and legitimate leadership. So not necessarily looking to the people with the titles, but looking to civil society, looking to the student leader, looking to the teacher, with the passion lies and the willingness lies to make the social change is where you're really going to have community development accelerated. And so I think with that, that's my message. Vleit my storie is uit. If you would like to know about any of the methodologies or programs that I have mentioned here, if you'd like to be taught digital storytelling or implement Buddingq in your own university or have a discussion about the Nsomi reading program, please don't hesitate to look on our website or contact me. I'm more than willing to chat. Thanks so much for listening to my talk.